Once again, good morning to all of you. We want to welcome you to our webinar workshop this beautiful Tuesday morning, and we appreciate you spending just a small part of your day with us. My name is Brian Griffin, a marketing assistant here at Messer Financial Group. Many of you are already familiar with Messer Financial, but in case you don't know, we are an agent-focused FMO located in Mint Hill, North Carolina. We started with just 2 agents, and we are now serving thousands of agents across 40 states and still growing. So with everything going on, everyone is looking for the most innovative and safe ways to continue to meet with our clients. We all want to respect one another, but business has to continue. The clients' needs still have to be met. And WellCare has come up with more solutions than just about any other carrier to make sure that you can still safely get in front of your clients and continue to do what you love. Now, we're lucky enough to have WellCare available on our very own MyMFG enrollment platform, so our agents can virtually enroll their products. Well, right now we have Mr. Ross Miller. Again, the last time we spoke with him, he explained how WellCare's personal URLs work. Well, today, he's going to go over some new platforms that WellCare has developed to give you as an agent an additional way to reach and close new clients. Now, Ross started with WellCare in 2019. He's been in the insurance, financial services, sales, and sales management for over 20 years, with over a decade in the senior market. So before we do get started, I want to go over the housekeeping rules. So we're going to hold all questions until the end of the presentation. If you do have a question, type it in the box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll address your question at the end of the presentation. So now, without any further delay, Mr. Ross Miller.
Hey, thanks, Brian, and good morning to everybody. I'm happy to have you all here, and thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to spend a little time with us here this morning. Brian and I were talking just a few moments ago about how exciting it is and encouraging that a lot of the agents out there are taking advantage of the new technologies or new platforms to get people enrolled safely. You know, it's kind of, you turn on the TV, if you turn on Fox News, we're not going fast enough. We need to get everything open. And if you turn on CNN, we're going too fast and everybody's going to die. So I'm not here to make any predictions or forecast what's going to happen, but I am here to let you know that as an organization, WellCare is taking the bull by the horns, and we're trying to get more enrollment platforms out there to make it easier for you as an agent to be out there taking care of your client. Today, I'm going to go over 2 new platforms. One is Docusign, which is through email, and the other is full telephonic enrollment. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have probably used Docusign or something similar in the past, but wanted to go over it very quickly and make sure that you understand how to use it with WellCare. Brian will be forwarding you guys some attachments that will have everything that I talk about in writing, and they're actually on the WellCare website as well. The first, and they're under, if you go into Agent Connect, they're under Archive Communications, but the first one here we'll look at is Docusign. And again, the biggest thing with Docusign is that your member or your potential member has to have an email that they can access in order to do this process. So you don't have to be in front of them, number one, which of course in today's environment that's important. But they do have to have an email. And we'll just take a quick walk through this and take a look at it. And again, you'll have this attachment, so you'll be able to do this yourself. But I'm going to click on the walkthrough guide here. Okay, hopefully it's going to work. There we go. Okay, so with the Docusign, basically there's a few things you got to do before you get rolling. Number one, if you believe that the member is either Medicaid or LIS, call our SPOP line, verify their eligibility. The number's right there. You do still have to do a scope. When you're using Docusign, you have 2 options there. And I'll tell you, option 1, you can do the whole thing through Docusign. which is going to require more steps. You're going to have to send them an email, get them to initial and sign, and send it back to you. Or you can call the AVL line. Now, this is what I would do because it takes steps out for the member that the member has to do. So if you just do a three-way call, the AVL line, there's the number. You'll get your scope number, and you'll be ready to go. So just to review real quick, you can either use Docusign to do the scope, or you can call the AVL line to get the scope done. But you do have to do a scope, just to make sure you're aware of that. Another requirement to stay compliant when you're using Docusign, you must email the beneficiary the summary of benefits, the star ratings, and the comprehensive formulary. So now you're probably saying, well, where do I find that? Well, there's a link right here in the document. We'll go ahead and click on it and show it to you. And before you go ahead and start filling out an application, you want to send them this information. And hopefully it's loading here. Okay, very good. So if you click on the link, the easiest way to do it here is click on Go Directly to 2020 Plan. And then next, they're going to ask you a zip code. So, or actually, it already kicked in. It's because I was in before, but you'll have to put a zip code in. And then just go to the plan that you're talking to them about. Let's just say the Absolute plan. There's our #1 selling plan, our Get Back plan. So I'm in the WellCare Absolute. I click on View Plan Details. And then that's going to bring up a whole assortment of things about the plan. But if you go to the bottom here, you'll see PDF, summary of benefits, comprehensive formulary, and star ratings. So these are the things here that you'll want to send over via email to your potential member. And that's going to keep you compliant, and you'll have a record that you sent it because you'll be in your sent file. If I was you, I'd create a new file for each person, just save the documents that you sent them in there. So that takes care of that. And let's see, where are we at? Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we emailed the beneficiary the summary of benefits, the formulary, and the star ratings. Obviously, in red here, you see they must have an email. When you want to access the Docusign, the easiest way to do it is to go in through Agent Connect. And when you log into Agent Connect, this will be the screen you see. Go to Enrollment Materials, which is a little more than 3/4 of the way down, and then go to CCP Application, Docusign 2020 CCP Coordinated Care Plan Application. And this will be the login page to get you going on Docusign. So first of all, you got to put in your name, your email, then the beneficiary's name and the beneficiary's email, and click on Begin Signing. Now I'm just going to go back over here to the test document. So, and that's what you just saw right there. You put your information in. It's important that you get everything right there, and kind of to give you a whole flow of how this process works. You sign in here, your email, your name, beneficiary's name and email. You're going to send over to them. Well, let's just go down here, okay? So you start the application. The first time you use Docusign, you're going to have to click the box saying, I agree to use an electronic signature. And then you're going to start filling out the form itself. And the form itself is just a paper application. So you've all seen our applications. You've all done them before. They're pretty standard. The nice thing about Docusign is everything in red has to be filled out. And it's dummy proof. So if you didn't do it, it's not going to let you send it. It's not going to let you go forward. It's going to say, hold on a second, you forgot to do this. Go back and do it. So it's typical application. You check the plan, go through and put everything in, the name, the address. There it says that you must complete. It's all red boxes. Once you've filled out all the red boxes and signed the document, you should see a message at the top or left of your screen that says done. Select finish to send the completed document. So when you hit finish, you are sending that document to the beneficiary for their review and signature. One other thing to add in here, we are advising, it's probably better for you if you do the new member checklist that comes on the application. It's not required, but if something ever did come up down the line and they say, well, I didn't do this or I didn't know this, you've got this document right here. It's the same one you fill out when you do it on paper. But the thing to remember is here, you'll need to sign this before you send the document over to the member for their review and signature. So you don't sign the actual application itself until the member signs it and sends it back to you. And we'll get into that in 1 second. But we're advising that you should do the new member checklist. And if you do that, you fill it out and you have to sign it before you send it to them. And this section here talks about how you do the signing. You can either select style or, use your mouse or finger pad or whatever you want to do. I think select style is the best way to do it. It just puts a signature in there, and then you click on adopt and sign, or you could draw it like that if you're feeling like you want to do some artwork. That never works out too well for me. I just use the electronic one. It looks a little bit better. So that's for the new member checklist. Again, we'd advise that you do that, kind of a CYA mechanism, just to have on file. So do that, and then you're ready to send it over to the applicant. And when you click finish, what that's going to do is send the document over to the member. And well, first it tells you if you didn't fill everything out, it's not going to let you. We already talked about that. You have the option at this point to download and save the document, which if it's me, I'm always going to do that, just for safety purposes. When you send the email over to the beneficiary, this is what they're going to receive. It'll be an email, and it will ask them to review document. You have to provide them with the access code, and that's right here. So the access code is WC for WellCare 2020. They will not get, a separate email telling them what that access code is. So you need to tell them in advance, hey, once I have the application sent over to you, I'll give you a call and I'm going to give you the access code. You can stay on the phone with them while they get it open. Once they get the application open, you can review it with them. After they have to put in WC 2020 and click validate, and then they'll be able to see the application. First thing they'll have to do is what you had to do. I agree to use an electronic signature, click the box, and then you can just walk through. They can either go right down to the bottom and sign it, or you can walk them through the application. If it's me, I'd probably walk through the application, just make sure they're aware of everything and, double check. But if, a lot of people say, let's just go down and get it signed. They'll have to do the same thing that you did when you set up your signature. Again, they can use the computer generated signature, or they can try to draw one on there. If it's me, I'm going to make my mind up beforehand. I'm just going to instruct them what to do, because it's just more confusion. The more confusion you can avoid, the more decisions that have to be made, the worse for me. I want to make everything go smooth, so I'll just tell them how to do that and get it done. Once they have a signature on there, they'll be able to see their signature, so they'll know it's there. They'll get done, and they'll do the same thing, and they'll hit finish. So once beneficiary satisfies the application, instruct them to click the yellow finish button at the top or bottom of their screen. If they didn't sign it, they won't be able to submit it. Once they finish, they should receive a pop-up that confirms the document has been signed. At this time, they'll also have the opportunity to download the application. If they want to get a copy of it at this point, they certainly can. After the beneficiary signs the application, you're going to get an email back that's ready for your final signature. So you'll click on Review Document. You can begin signing by clicking the Start button on the left of the screen. It's going to tell you what to do, is basically it. You got to put in your agent number and sign it. And when you are done, you'll click the Finish button. And at that point, you're going to get a copy, the beneficiary is going to get a copy, and WellCare will get a copy of the fully executed contract. So everything will be sent off and ready to go. There you go, both receive a fully executed copy via email. and WellCare enrollment will get one as well. Of course, anytime we're doing something like this, I would save everything in a file with the beneficiary's name on it, just to have, in case something came up or there's questions. So kind of in review, you got to do your AVL. If it's Medicaid or LIS, you want to call SPOP, verify eligibility. Do your AVL either through the AVL line, or you can use the Docusign. But again, with me, I wouldn't use Docusign again, because it's just another step that you're making the member have to do. If you call the AVL line, you do a three-way call. It takes a couple minutes. It's done. You're in control. Once you send that email over to a beneficiary, you lose control. You can't force them to fill it out, send it back, or do it correctly. So to me, I would remove a step and just call the AVL line. Once you get that done, you have your scope number. Now you fill out the application, just like it was a paper app. Do the new member checklist, put your signature on that, send it over to the beneficiary for review and signing. Instruct them how to do it. They'll sign it, send it back to you for the final signature. Once you get your signature on there, they've signed it, you've signed it, you hit finish, you have a copy, beneficiary has a copy, WellCare has a copy. So it's a pretty straightforward process. Again, Brian will be able to send you all these documents so you can review it. But we've had a lot of people use it, and we've had no issues with it. And I guess, Brian, at this point, do you want to check and see if there's any questions on this before we move to the next enrollment platform?
Yeah, actually, the only question was, where can I find the walkthrough guide?
Okay, and I sent you the document before.
Yeah.
In fact, let's see. No, that's the next one we're going to. But this is it. I sent this to you.
Yeah.
And it's on Agent Connect as well. If you just go through here, enrollment application walkthrough guide, click there, and that'll be the document I just went through.
Right. I'll get that sent out to everyone after the presentation.
Okay. No other questions on Docusign?
No, sir.
Oh, wow. You guys are some sharp people. A lot of people, usually we have questions there. Okay. So that's one option. And again, that's going to be all through email. So the biggest caveat there, of course, is your client has to have email, and not only have it, but they have to be able to open a document, put in a passcode. Pretty straightforward stuff. But if you're 82 years old, it might not be so straightforward. And, a lot of times with duals or LIS, they don't have access to computers. So the next thing we brought to the table as a company is the telephonic enrollment. And this one is even easier than the DocuSign. It's a pretty straightforward process. In fact, I have a PowerPoint presentation on it. It's a total of 5 slides on how to do it. The good news about telephonic enrollment is there's no email, so you don't have to do it electronically, and there's no face-to-face. Obviously, that's what we're trying to avoid here. That's why we're coming to the table with these different platforms. But what we've done is now we have a way where you could compliantly enroll somebody into an MAPD plan or a PDP plan without having to be face-to-face and without having to have email. So it's a pretty simple process. There are a few caveats here. If you're going to do a telephonic enrollment through our system, you have to use our AVL line. Okay, so it's not an if, and, or but. You can't bring a scope in from anybody else. You have to call the AVL number and get the AVL, the scope. The numbers are right here. And again, I'll send this little slideshow to Brian so he can get it out to you. This is for MAPDs, and that's for PDP. It's a 3-way call. You'll do with the member. You'll get the scope number. It's about a 5-minute operation. So that's step one. You have to use the AVL line through WellCare in order to use our telephonic enrollment. Once the prospect agrees to enroll, and of course this is after you've done a compliant presentation. You've gone through doctors, you looked at prescriptions, you talked about co-pays, you've covered the plan, you've gained agreement. Yeah, hey, this looks like what I want to do. Let's go ahead and do it. Real quick, I want to let you know, if they do have email, you do want to send them the summary of benefits, the formulary, and the star rating. If they don't have email, you want to put that in the mail for them. So you have on record that you've sent that to them, okay? Again, what I was, just to rehash here real quickly on the telephonic, and it's a very simple process. The first part is you definitely have to use the AVL line to do the enrollment. You have to get your scope through the AVL line. The phone numbers are right here. It's a three-way call with the member. Takes about 5 minutes. I'm sure some of you guys have already done it. It's no big deal. They're open from 7 in the morning to midnight Eastern time. So that's a step in the process that there's no getting around. You have to do. I mentioned that you want to go ahead and send them over the summary of benefits, the formulary, and the star ratings. If they have email, zip it to them over an email. If they don't, send it to them in the mail. So you did your presentation, your compliant presentation. They say, okay, I want to do it. Well, prior to calling them, there's a couple things you're going to need to have on hand. The AVL line, we just called it AVL ID number. Name of the plan, we're going to go in absolute. When do you want it to be effective? June 1st. Their date of birth. What is there an SEP? What is it? It could be COVID, obviously, that's where we're in now. Medicare ID number, Part A, Part B effective date. Pretty standard stuff, but you want to have that stuff. That's what the caller is going to ask you for, or the person that answers the phone is going to ask you for. So you'll do a three-way call into the enrollment line, and I'll give you that number here in a minute. You as the agent, you have to stay on the call for the entire call. The reason being, the person that's actually taking the call and entering the information in oftentimes will not be a licensed agent. So if there's any questions that the member would have, certainly you can see that coming up. They have a question about a copay or an effective date, or even when you get to the part of the application where it talks about payment and it's a $0 premium, but you still have to put something down there, that certainly could cause questions. And if you're not on the call and they have questions, the person on the other end of the line is going to have to end the call and say, call your agent, which that's not good for anybody. That just puts delays and confusion in. So you are going to have to sit there through the call and through the enrollment process. What I've been told, on the low end, you're looking around 25 minutes, long end about 40 minutes. So it really depends on how many questions come up, how smoothly it goes. We are expecting, well, I'll just say it this way, there could be a wait time. You could be, it depends how many people are using it at the same time. They're staffing the call center with the amount of agents that they're predicting will come forward using the new telephonic enrollment, but they might have to adapt. And of course, you can't just click a button and you got another 30 people on the line. It's going to be the next day or the next week. So bear with us if it's a little slow at first, but you do have to stay on the call. And here you'll see the hours of operation. We're all East Coast, most of us here on the phone, I would assume. It's 8 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. And here's the phone number that you'll call. And again, don't feel like you have to scribble this down, because I'm going to send this whole thing over to Brian and he'll get it out to you. You'll go ahead, sit on the phone with them while they do it. You'll remain the agent of record. You'll get credit for the app. You'll get paid for it. So again, it's a very simple process, very easy to use. The only real thing that sticks out to me is you got to use the AVL line. You have to do that. And then you call the number, and the person on the other side of the phone takes over. They get them enrolled. So pretty straightforward. Brian, do we have any questions on any of that?
Yeah, actually, we do have a few questions. Give me just
Sure.
1 second here so I can pull them out. So the first question, this was actually right after we moved forward from Docusign. It says, can your client use Docusign on their cell phone?
Yes, they can. As long as it's a smartphone, it'll work.
Okay, excellent. So it doesn't matter if it's Android or otherwise.
Nope.
Excellent.
No, nothing, like no restrictions on that.
Okay. And the next question says, this is a temporary enrollment system. Will it be available during AEP?
Well, let me look into my crystal ball. No, I'm just saying, my guess is that yes, it will. if you know anything about WellCare, we are a very conservative company when it comes to doing things like this or compliant issues. So I saw the same. That's the first thing I saw when I saw it temporary. And I was on a call a couple of weeks ago about it, and that was the question I asked. So whoever asked that, we think alike. The answer was we put temporary because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and we don't want to say this is forever and always. This is how it will be. That's why we put temporary.
Okay, excellent. And the next question is, so this section, you got a lot more response. So the next
Yeah.
question is, can you enroll them before they get the SOA, et cetera?
No, you have to get the scope first.
Yeah.
So step one is going to be to get the AVL, and that actually, the AVL number is going to be what ties you to the application as the agent as well. So it's a step well worth doing.
Okay. And this next question, I'm going to preface it for you. Now, my MFG is actually our
Right.
enrollment system. So the question says,
Mm-hmm.
can we use the AVL in conjunction with my MFG to get the SOA?
You could call the AVL line, yes, anytime. You can use the AVL line for a paper application if you want. So yeah, it should be no problem.
Okay. All right, Ross, that's actually all the questions to this point.
Okay. Well, listen, I know I kind of went through things quickly, but I'm assuming a lot of you guys have used a lot of these things before. And, I'm just very excited that we're bringing these things to the table and trying to make it easier on you guys out there on the field. I will send Brian, I'm going to send this slideshow on the Telephonic over to you so you can share that as well. Mm-hmm. And I'll include some contact information for myself and my staff. That would be our retention specialist, our market outreach specialist, and our sales assistant. We're here in Greenville. These enrollment options are available nationwide. So, if anybody's not in South Carolina or in Georgia, North Carolina, or wherever, they're all good to go. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. And I appreciate all your time today. And unless you guys have any other questions, I'll let you guys roll.
No, we appreciate it, Ross. And those are the questions that we did have come through. I appreciate you going through this. And really the biggest thing right now, and I kind of have to, and we were talking about this before we started, I'm actually very impressed with how many agents are embracing, these different ways to be able to still engage their clients. So, pat on the back for everyone that's on the line right now that's learning these different things. And like Ross was saying, this is giving you some options. A lot of times when we're dealing with seniors, and I'm sure you know this, Ross, we want to, technology can be a little bit frightening.
Sure.
But what you guys are presenting here is helping us, take a little bit of that away for ourselves, because sometimes this is a big change for us too, to be able
Absolutely.
to enroll this way, because so many of us do it face to face. So I appreciate you going through this process, making it simple. And I want to ensure everyone on the line, I am going to be sending out the information that Ross just went over to you. So you'll have it right in front of you so you can go over it. If you have any other questions, we can definitely help you. And we actually just had another one come in. It says, which market is the Give Back plan in, and what is it called?
Well, it's in the entire state of South Carolina. It's the Absolute plan.
Okay.
And it's the biggest selling plan we had through so far this year by far. I know they have one in Georgia as well. I think it's called the Dividend plan in Georgia. And in North Carolina, I'm not sure. I would have to get with Shane on that and see what they're planning. But I would assume it's either Absolute or Dividend there as well.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, Ross, I want to thank you for joining us today, for going over this additional information. And if you guys did not hear the first time that Ross came on, he actually went through WellCare's personal URLs with us. And that's actually another great system that WellCare has developed for us. So make sure that you go into our Learning Center and you take a look at that one also. Now, this presentation will actually be up should be tomorrow afternoon in our learning center, so you'll be able to go back in and review it. But I will be sending you guys all the information that Ross just went over. Hopefully you learned something new today that's going to help you in your business. If you guys are not contracted with WellCare, go into your SureLC portal and make sure that you request the appointment, because this is a carrier that you definitely want to have available to you when you're talking to your clients. Now, also, if you are not currently a Messer financial agent, uh, give us a call. Call in and let us know exactly what you're looking for. These are just a few of the things that we do. We have people like Ross come on and talk about, the advantages or the different technologies that WellCare is developing. We have we have sales information that we go over with you. So just make sure this is something that we make available to all of our agents. We want to make sure that we are investing in your career. But if you have any questions as far as what the Messer advantage is, give our marketing department a call at 866-568-9649 extension 7819, or email them at mfgmarketing@messerfinancial.com, and any of them will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And once again, take a moment to go into our events calendar so you can see what webinars we have coming up that may interest you. We have these webinar workshops scheduled throughout the year with valuable information like you just heard from Ross. But once again, I want to thank you all for joining us, and be sure to take care of yourselves and everyone around you. All of you have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thanks, and God bless.